Good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. Welcome to another session, because this is Mayegun Live. So thank you so much for joining me. And tonight, just before we delve into this, kindly take a moment to read the description of this broadcast, and like it, share it as far and wide as you can, to invite your friends and your not so friendly friends by telling them all that Mayegun today, Mayegun is live. And if you have done that, thank you. So tonight, we are starting with the restart of the illegal trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And for those of us who have been following the persecution, right, in the last 10 years, starting from when Bokwari first kidnapped him to the time Bokwari attempted to kill him after a court granted him bail, to the time they went to Kenya to kidnap him again and then illegally renditioned him back to Nigeria and back to their court, in that same court where he was also freed, that he had no case to answer simply because of the process, the legal process took by Bokwari's government in violating international laws, all just to satisfy the fantasy of a bloodthirsty Bokwari at the time. Then Bokwari did is disobeyed the court, disobeyed their laws, abused their own system. He got away with it, and Nnamdi Kanu is still being locked up. We are coming to the nitty-gritty of the matter. I don't know, I just feel like now that they have assigned a new judge to make it look like this was, so this is 2015 all over again. They've brought Witnesses. Among them, among the agreement, they said they agreed with this new judge. The witnesses against Nnamdi Kanu kind of presented their evidence in camera, behind the curtain, or behind the screen, it's called. But just before we, again, like I said, just before we delve into it, you can possibly just sing this anthem with me, and then we'll come back to this.
Oh, yeah, do I call? Oh, Mary, oh, Nindizu, oh, Niria, Abakare, Mama Baora, Unapuri, Mary, Nnamdi, win the war. Python, that's one, Python, that's two. Now Python, that's a three. Unapuri, Mary, Nnamdi, win the war. Python, that's one, Python, that's two. Now Python, that's a three. Unapuri, Mary, Nnamdi, go, oh, you do, I walk. Oh, Mary, oh, Nindizu, Abakare, Mama Daura, Unapuri, Mary, Nnamdi, win the war. Python, that's one, Python, that's two. Now Python, that's the three. Unapuri, Mary, Nnamdi, win the war. Python, that's one, Python, that's two. Now Python, that's the three. Unapuri, Mary, Nnamdi, win the war. Python, that's one, Python, that's two. Now Python, that's the three. Unapuri, Mary, Nnamdi, win the war. Python, that's one, Python, that's two. Now Python, that's the three. Unapuri, Mary, Nnamdi, win the war. Python dance 1, Python dance 2, and Python dance 3. Unabuli Mary Nnamdi.
Python dance 1, Python dance 2, and Python dance 3. Nnamdi. That's the anthem. And let me give you the background to all of that. In case this is your first time, right? You are opportuned to even hear this. Like this part of whatever you've been fed with. At a time in Nigeria, Nnamdi Kanu was like the thorn on the flesh of the typical one Nigerianist. Nnamdi Kanu, who in himself is a prince, decided to use one very, very viable and powerful tool of communication, social media, to tell the truth about that contraption called Nigeria. Not many people loved him when it all started. A lot of people were offended by his tone. Some were offended by his bluntness. Others were offended by his ego, while many others were jealous of his acceptability. All of this coupled together happened in the last 10 years when Nnamdi Kanu decided to tell all of us the truth about why this contraption is what it is and why it will remain what it is and why the Igbos should endeavor to opt out. Now, none of this is in any way illegal, okay? Free speech and then self-determination. But because of the way Nigeria is, the people never really came together to say they want to form a country. And the story of this forceful union, where we were now left to try and make it work, while others whose purpose of setting it up is purely for commercial purpose only. Now, the people who are now trapped in this system, disagreeing with themselves enough that it's obvious that they can't govern themselves simply because the system that rewards criminality, ethnicity, tribalism, and kept people in perpetuity of poverty, that is not a system that anybody should fight or bleed to save. His message was very clear. And just like myself too, right, is somebody who believes that you cannot continue to talk about a problem without talking about those who are responsible for the problems, the past, the present, and those who are angling to continue the business. His message was not popular, especially among the one Nigerians. But over time, all his teachings began manifesting. I mean, it became so obvious that even his own ardent, like his toughest or harshest critic became his strongest supporter. Something that the system, especially in the eastern part of Nigeria, continue to wonder. You see, whenever they want to denigrate them, they will say, when did our Igbo people become this? That somebody is now controlling them. Can you imagine? Igbo people that can never, or they forgot the fact that everyone is a walking victim of Nigeria. You just need somebody to knock your head back to life, to understand that your continuation of keeping the whole contraption together, the way it is to the detriment of yourself, your life. It just takes somebody to knock the sense into your head. Unfortunately, people have been so buried in this level of a bullish system, right, that they've become comfortable to some extent. Like they've devised means of managing it, cope system. Nnamdi Kanu touched on the political class, traditional rulers. It touched on the religious class. It touched on tribes, ethnic, and they received the most virulent critic from Nnamdi Kanu are the Igbos. Generally, if you have ever listened to him, But that adventure did not win Nnamdi Kanu friends, or many friends. But guess what? He won him true friends who cut across even the entire length and breadth of that contraption, far and beyond the Igbo land, the Biafra land itself, right? Even like far and beyond the entire continent of Africa today. You can't bury the truth. Facts are very stubborn. And that happened to be his weapon. And that happened to be his undoing. And that is what put the target on his back. And because of that is the reason why the establishment in Nigeria continue to violate all laws, including their own laws and international laws. Shamelessly adding to the horrible record brought upon the country by the rogues in charge of the country for decades now, right? Human rights abuses. But we've discovered that the issue of Nnamdi Kanu is beyond just Nigeria, just Igbo land. It is beyond just Nigeria. As much as you have a very strong, hateful, selfish local actors, we also have those selfish, exploitative, external factors too. So for the past 10 years, Nnamdi Kanu has been in and out of courts, prison, and what have you, even like running for his life in the hands of those who swore to bleed even to the last person that wants Biafra. They've spent hundreds of billions of your money on different kind of propaganda, lobbyists in America, just to try to make sure that they deepen the light of that campaign, while the injustice continues. Because the real selling point of Nnamdi Kanu's message is the fact that there is no change in sight, there is no adjustment, there's no plan to actually fix things in Nigeria by the criminals in Nigeria. So the more they try to want to shut people up for speaking up, the more people are turning on the ring lights now, even digging deeper to understand the concept of Nigeria or one Nigeria, right? So the last 10 years, an innocent man has been subjected to the most brutal, inhuman, right? Or inhumane kind of a treatment, simply because he is asking what every one of us should be asking. If this contraption is not working, if this contraption will not work, why can't we just renegotiate the entire arrangement? For real, set boundaries, protect ourselves, defend ourselves. All these are normal human rights. I mean, it's actually there in that their Geneva Convention, right? Or where you do not have a choice, where you are not treated as a citizen, where you are treated as a piece of shit by the rogues who are living off you, there will always be some of us that will rebel. They said not to actually follow the, what they call the, the status quo. So an innocent man has been painted all sorts, punished, locked up, tortured, denied access to his medication, denied access to his family on several occasions, mentally tortured, traumatized, and still he kept his faith in what he strongly believes in, something that many of us probably don't even have. Many of you who are very good in judgment, sitting right now, telling us how he didn't do it right, or he didn't do it well, this and that. In any of that, even if you don't like him, nobody deserves to be treated unjustly, even if you don't like him. If he's done anything wrong, the right thing for everyone is what? To have a fair hearing, a fair trial, an unbiased, uninfluenced kind of like a trial. That is not what Nnamdi Kanu is getting. Even those of you who want him locked up or even killed, at least do it the right way. The last time they attempted it, he defeated them in their own court. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. You like him, you don't like him. There's one thing he said, which he strongly believes in, right? If you truly believe that the agitation for Biafra that he, Nnamdi Kanu, champions, right, is a waste of time because the Igbos are comfortable in Nigeria. If that is your strong belief, how about you let the Igbos conduct a referendum and decide that? And he said, if the Igbos choose Nigeria, you will never see him again. You will never hear from him again. And he will never talk about Biafra agitation again. Nobody took the challenge. Everybody calls him name. They want him to be what Nigeria described him to be. The real terrorists, human rights abusers, are telling you that a man that they dread so much deserves all of this under the table, kind of like a justice system. I mean, I'm not asking you to like him. I'm just asking you to take a look at what injustice looks like. Guess what? In Nigeria, the only democratized thing that everybody is getting a share, whether you are a rich man or a poor man, whether you're from the east or you are from the west, the north or from the south, it doesn't matter where you come from, whether you are a Christian or a Muslim, or you are like, old or young, it doesn't matter. The only thing that is democratized in Nigeria is the injustice everyone suffers. In case if you don't know, every child in Nigeria, by your law, deserves to get education, which means Nigeria must actually send them to school. You know, some of you will say, so now government still make you go born. But in your law, it says every child, your government, that one is the violation of the children's rights in Nigeria, especially the children who have been exposed to poor education and those who have actually been denying that. That is violation. And they are in their millions. Not having electricity in this 21st century is an abuse of human rights. It's actually considered as, a bit of, terrorism as well. It is like your government is terrorizing you, denying you access to electricity, access to healthcare in this 21st century. Is human rights. To those of you who have been denying it, for real, they have violated your right. That's an injustice against you. Oh, then the primary one, the number one job of the government is to protect lives and properties. But guess how many of you who have now ended up in the den of the owners of Nigeria, the terrorists who captured Nigerians like they are in a game reserve, hunting animals and counting them and rejoicing and celebrating how many of them are in their captivity and how much they sold the animals. So they failed you in that regard, meaning in that, the government denying you all of your rights. So that is that, right? So injustice is democratized in Nigeria enough that the sham trial of Nnamdi Kanu is a textbook definition of all that is wrong with the entire institutions in Nigeria to start with. So finally, they assigned him a new judge after sort of rejecting the compromised Bintam Yako. And then the new judge decided, okay, yeah, we're going to start all over again, in which they'll present their case, they'll present their, their witnesses, and then the defense will pop up and decide the kind of a move for a bail. And then they will begin to negotiate bail or no bail. Then the judge will decide when they do their political influence to release him or not to release him. Just like it played the last time. That's what they want to start again. 10 years ago, this drama started. All for what? When the real killers, murderers who are hunting and, killing Nigerians are currently being pardoned, pampered, in the last 10 years. So today, Nnamdi Kanu appeared before this new judge to listen to this DSS witness. I have a manuscript of that. I may read a part of that for us this evening. But when Onyendu arrived, the court this morning,